Hi everyone. Today I wanted to share my approach to parametric bezel making. Um, I find that this is a great tool generally, but that sometimes I just want a little more from it. And I will just point out my main issue with it, which is that if you want to show a customer like a rendering with a set look, there is a way to turn on the chamfer and lower the seat and do some things to it that kind of create a somewhat set look. But if you do that and then you want to prepare for manufacturing, and you toggle it off, not only does the position of the head change, but the point where it intersects with the ring rail and possibly other things that you might have on the shoulders also changes. And that's true for like making the seat higher as well. And I don't love either that you can't make the walls extrude straight from the girdle unless the bezel is totally straight. Like if you have the bezel at an angle, there's no way to extrude the walls without maintaining this taper, which I don't love. And also, if you want to move the height of the seat, it changes again, like where these two things intersect, which I don't really like. But most of the time it's great and I have no issue with it. But sometimes, like especially if there's someone who really wants or needs to see a rendering with the most realistic look possible, it's nice to have something custom and parametric that is really flexible. So I'm going to show you how I would do it. Excuse me. So, as usual, I have found like an annoyingly complicated way to do it, but I feel like once you do it a few times, it's really not that complicated. But it does involve using a variety of dynamic commands. So the first thing I am going to do is to create a head. So instead of a bezel, I'm going to go for a head. I'm going to choose this compass point style. I'm going to get rid of the rails. So 0. I am going to come over here and I'm going to nudge it to 0.5 both places, and I'm just going to show you how you can make like a slightly rounded, like a cupped shape bezel. So I'm just going to give it a slight bend like this also. Okay, so that's good, and again, because this is dynamic command, you can keep editing it if it's not what you wanted. All right, so I'm just going to right click. The next thing I'm going to do is to create a gem offset curve. Okay, I'm going to need this later, but right now I'm going to make an offset from my offset. And I'm going to bring it out wide and then turn it up like that. And then I'm going to extrude. Either direction does not matter, so this is fine. I'm going to right click to accept that. And now I'm just going to make an intersection here. I'm going to cut this prong using this extrusion, because ultimately what I want is the curve, the edge curve of this bisected prong. So I'm going to come over here to Boolean. I like Boolean intersection, so I'm going to use that. I'm going to select my first, which is I am holding Control Shift to subselect this prong only, and then this extrusion. Okay, so now I'm going to hide what I don't need. So I don't need this head. And actually, you can see it's grayed, but that's only because one of the prongs was used in that Boolean operation. So the rest is still showing. So I just have to kind of force the rest to hide as well. And I'm going to hide this offset. I don't need it to show. Okay, so the next thing would be I'm going to extract edges. I'm going to just grab this. I like to use this when I can because it joins all the curves. like unlike dupe edge where you have to also join the curves when you're done. So I'm going to right click and you can see that it has extracted more edges that I need, but that's okay. I'm going to hide this Boolean now. And then what I'm going to do is trim this curve. So I'm going to come up here to trim, and I'm just going to grab this curve, and I'm just going to trim like maybe this, and then I'm going to hide this again to get rid of those horizontal curves. Okay, and then the final thing, well, almost final, is to blend this curve to close the top. So I'm going to click it twice, and then I'm just going to move the second curve position over here. I'm going to flip this first one, and I am not having great luck with join curves in the blend curve command lately. It's not producing closed curves, so I'm not going to choose this. I'm not sure why it hasn't been working for me, but and then I'm just going to right click, and then I'm going to bring this curve back, and then I'm going to dynamically join. Okay. All right. So now that's a lot of commands here, but you're basically done. All you have to do is do a sweep 1 using this curve and this, and now you have this bezel, and it doesn't probably seem like anything too special. Let's just look from the front, except that the really nice thing about it is that it's really flexible. So if you want to, and you know, obviously you have to kind of assess the thickness of the bezel kind of on your own, but you know, most of us are capable of doing that. And so you just would, if you wanted to change it, you could make a lot of changes really quickly. So first of all, you can change the thickness of the bezel by just changing the head size. You can change the shape of the bezel, which is you can do with the bezel, you can do with this command, but it's based on sort of a profile curve. This is a little easier to make that change. You can change the angle, and then you can also, of course, bend it the other way. So it does make like live editing the shape of your bezel a little bit easier. And so that's one thing. And then the next thing is that you can combine this with a custom cutter, and you can create something that really has like a set look pretty easily. So if I open cutters and I use gem cutter, I already made a custom like bright cut cutter. So I'm just going to go, and I saved it into my style sheet. So I'm going to open gem cutter. I'm going to come here to this little menu over here, and I'm going to click on style, and then I saved my cutter. It's called Bright Cut Bezel, and if I use it, let's see here, Boolean difference, then I can create something that has a really nice kind of set look with a bright cut, and then I can continue kind of changing, you know, how I want this to look. So if I come over here to trim, I can, oops, I'm so sorry. I can bring this down. I can also bring this down and away to make this look a little different. And then if I want it to have that hard edge, I can just bring the blend down so it's a little bit of a harder edge there. So it is really flexible in that way. And so, you know, for example, if you had somebody that really wanted to see it like, in its set look, you could create a rendering, or you can use, iJewel up here, which is a pretty cool new feature of the latest update. And then you can just come back in here when you're ready to manufacture, and you can change the trim height. So right now it's sort of following the top of the prong, but of course you can make other changes that change the location of where the top of the prong is. And then you can just switch out your cutter. I have another one here, style, that I made that's just called straight bezel. And then you're ready to manufacture this. And the nice thing is that nothing about the bottom changed at all. And so I really like that. I think it makes this, it sort of allows you to be pretty fluid, and you don't have to like sort of make sure you're making a copy for manufacturing and then changing it. And also the way that I would normally traditionally get a kind of bright cut look would be to just use an edge, like a chamfer, and then of course that breaks parametric history. So I just don't love that, because I like everything to be dynamic all the time. And maybe that's just me. I accept it if it is. So the last thing I just wanted to show you is that this technique works pretty well for a variety of stone shapes. So let's, so you can make like a princess, and you can make an oval. I went down the list. It works pretty well with most. You might have to create an offset of your gem offset curve to create like another rail, so you can do a sweep too, like with some of these shapes here, where you might run into like intersecting surfaces. Let's see if I look from the bottom. Yeah, so you might have to add a few other pieces of geometry or curves, whatever, to control the sweep, but generally speaking, it works really, really well. And if I go back to my set look, I can just show you just one more time, because I'm really proud of this new discovery. And let's just trim this. And we'll go way down here. So yeah, you can get like really quickly to a set look without changing anything else. And that's it. That's really all I have to say about that. But hopefully this is like interesting or helpful or useful. Let me know what you think of it.